The photo hit my Instagram feed like a punch to the gut. There was my brother Jaden sprawled across the Spanish Steps in Rome, Ray-Bans perched on his head, gelato in hand. The caption read, "Living my best life. The gap year that blessed." My name is Addison, and that photo was taken with my college fund. I still remember the exact moment I learned about the theft. Mum had called me into the kitchen, her face arranged in that practiced expression of sympathy that never quite reached her eyes. "Honey, we need to discuss your university plans." I already had my acceptance letter to MIT, engineering, full of dreams about sustainable energy and changing the world. The kind of dreams that cost money. "We've had to make some adjustments," she said, stirring her tea with mechanical precision. "Jaden needs this time to find himself. Europe will help him figure out his path." "My path was already figured out," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "We've been planning this for years. You're the responsible one, sweetie. You'll find a way." That was 12 years ago. Now I'm standing in my penthouse office, staring at the skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows that cost more than that entire gap year. The irony isn't lost on me. "Ms. Stewart?" Lexi appears in the doorway, tablet in hand. "Your speech for the Global Energy Summit is ready for review." "Thanks, Lexi. Just leave it on my desk." She hesitates. "There's something else. Your mother called. 3 times. Of course she did. I haven't spoken to her in 8 months, not since that disaster of a Thanksgiving where Jaden announced his latest business venture. Some crypto real estate hybrid that made about as much sense as his personality. "Should I keep blocking her?" Lexi asks. "Yes. No. Wait." I massage my temples. What did she say? She was crying. Something about Jaden. Of course it's about Jaden. It's always about Jaden. Send it to voicemail. I turn back to the windows, to the empire I built from scratch. Student loans, 3 jobs, sleeping on a friend's couch. Every rejection, every setback, every moment of doubt. I transformed it all into fuel. Now my company's revolutionising solar storage technology, and that acceptance letter to MIT hangs framed in my office like a battle scar. My phone buzzes. Voicemail. "Addison, please." Mum's voice breaks through the speaker. "It's Jaden. We need your help. He's in trouble. Real trouble this time. Please call." Delete. The doorbell rings. I check the security feed on my phone and freeze. There she is, Naomi Stewart, my mother, standing in my hallway looking like she aged a decade since Thanksgiving. Her mascara's smeared, her designer bag is scuffed, and she's wearing the same pearl necklace she wore the day she told me my college fund was gone. "Miss Kay Stewart," Lexi's voice comes through the intercom. "Your mother's here. Should I—" "Let her up." I smooth my blazer, check my reflection in the window. Power suit, perfect makeup, not a hair out of place. Success is the best revenge, they say. But revenge isn't what I'm after. I want justice. The elevator dings. "Addison." Mom rushes forward, arms outstretched. I step back. "This is a surprise," I say, my voice professionally neutral. "I was just heading to a meeting. Please, it's important. Your father's in the car. Jaden's in trouble." "When isn't he?" "This is different." She clutches her pearls, a tell she's had since I was little. "He could lose everything. We could lose everything." I walk to my desk, press the intercom. "Lexi, cancel my next meeting and bring us some coffee." I gesture to the sleek chairs facing my desk. "Sit, Mum. Tell me everything." She sinks into the chair, relief washing over her face. She thinks I'm going to help. She thinks money can fix this, just like it fixed everything else in Jaden's life. But she doesn't know what I know. Doesn't know I've been watching, waiting. Doesn't know that Lexi's been tracking Jaden's businesses for months. Doesn't know that karma's finally caught up with her golden boy. "I'll help," I say, and her eyes fill with tears of gratitude. "But first, call Dad up here. We need to talk about that gap year in Rome. The truth about revenge. It's not served cold. It's served exactly when it's ready. And I've been preparing this dish for 12 years. Dad looked smaller than I remembered, hunched in my visitor's chair like a scolded child. Mum hadn't stopped fidgeting with her pearls since he arrived. The silence stretched between us, broken only by the gentle hum of my office's eco-friendly climate control system. "Coffee?" Lexi appeared with a tray, her professional smile masking what I knew was intense curiosity. "Thank you, Lexi. Hold my calls." I waited until she left before speaking again. "So, tell me about this trouble Jaden's in." Mum and Dad exchanged glances. Classic Stewart family communication, all meaningful looks and unspoken words. "It's complicated," Dad finally said, his voice rough. "Some investments went bad." "How bad?" "Hey, 7 figures," Mum whispered. "Maybe 8. I took a slow sip of coffee, letting that sink in. "And the legal troubles?" They both startled. "How did you—" "I'm a CEO, Mum. I have resources." I set my cup down with a soft clink. "Tell me everything. No editing." The story spilled out in pieces. Bad investments were just the beginning. Jaden had created a web of companies, each one more questionable than the last. He'd leveraged assets he didn't own, made promises he couldn't keep. Classic Jaden, always believing he was one deal away from striking gold. "He was trying to make something of himself," Mum insisted. "Like you did." "No," I corrected her. "I built something. Jaden's been playing pretend with other people's money." "That's not fair," Dad protested. "Fair?" The word tasted bitter. "Let's talk about fair. Did you know I worked as a janitor my first year of college, cleaning classrooms at 4 a.m. so I could afford textbooks?" Mum's hand flew to her throat. "We didn't know." "Because you never asked." I stood up, walking to the window. "But now you're here asking. How much do you need?" "2 million, Dad said quietly. "To stop the creditors, to keep our house." I turned back to them. "Your house is involved." "Jaden needed collateral for a loan," Mum explained, tears welling up. "He promised it was temporary." "Of course he did." I returned to my desk, pressed the intercom. "Lexi, could you come in, please?" She appeared instantly, tablet ready. "Pull up the files we have on Jaden's companies, all of them." Mum's eyes widened. "You've been investigating him?" "I've been protecting myself." I nodded to Lexi. "Show them." She projected a complex web of shell companies and transactions onto my office wall. Mum gasped. Dad's face went ash grey. "Your son isn't just in trouble," I said. "He's committed fraud, and you're both implicated because you signed documents without reading them." "We trusted him," Dad whispered. "Like you trusted him with my college fund?" The words hung in the air like smoke. Mum started crying in earnest now, but I felt nothing. 12 years of nothing. "I can help," I said finally. "But there are conditions." They leaned forward eagerly. "First, I need full access to everything. Bank records, contracts, emails, everything." "Done," Dad said quickly. "Second, Jaden agrees to meet with me. Here, tomorrow." Mum nodded frantically. "And third—" I paused, making sure I had their complete attention. "You both need to understand something. This help comes with consequences, real ones. Are you prepared for that?" They nodded again, probably not even hearing the warning in my voice. They never did listen properly. "I'll have my lawyer draw up the paperwork," I said, effectively dismissing them. "Lexi will contact you with the meeting details." They stood, relief evident in every movement. Mum tried to hug me, but I stepped back. "Thank you, sweetheart," she sniffled. "You're saving us all." If she noticed my lack of response, she didn't show it. Some things never change. After they left, Lexi lingered. "Should I call Joanna?" "Yes. And then I need you to dig deeper. Every transaction, every partner, every penny. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." "You're not really going to bail them out, are you?" I smiled, thinking of that Instagram photo from Rome. Of all the photos that followed, Jaden in Paris, in Barcelona, in Greece, each one paid for with my future. "No, Lexi. I'm going to teach them about consequences." She nodded and left. I picked up my phone, dialing a familiar number. "Lyle? It's Addison. Remember how you said you owed me one? I think it's time to collect. How would you like an exclusive story about fraud in the tech startup world? Sometimes karma needs a little push, and I've gotten very good at pushing." "Holy shit!" Joanna dropped the stack of papers onto her desk. "Your brother's not just in trouble. He's in deep trouble." I sat across from her in her corner office, watching Seattle's rain trace patterns on the window. "How bad?" "Wire fraud, securities fraud, false statements to financial institutions." She flipped through pages. "He's been running a classic Ponzi scheme, but with a tech startup twist. using new investor money to pay old investors while pretending to develop revolutionary trading algorithms. Sounds about right. I reached for the documents. What about my parents? Technically complicit, but probably too clueless to face charges, though they'll lose everything when this implodes. When? Not if. Joanna leaned forward. Addison, this is going to blow up regardless of what you do. The question is whether you want to control the explosion. My phone buzzed. A text from Lexi. Found something big. Call ASAP. Excuse me, I told Joanna, stepping into the hallway. Lexi answered on the first ring. Remember that startup Jaden claimed was developing AI for cryptocurrency trading? The one that raised 12 million? It doesn't exist, like it all. No employees, no office, no technology. Just a really good website and some fake LinkedIn profiles. I pressed my forehead against the cool window glass. Send everything to Joanna. Back in the office, Joanna was already reading Lexi's email. This changes things. We're beyond civil litigation now. This is criminal territory. Good. She looked up sharply. Addison, stop. Think about what you're doing. I am thinking. Very clearly. This isn't just revenge anymore. This is your family. My family? I laughed. My family stopped being my family the day they decided Jaden's European vacation was more important than my education. And now you're going to destroy them? No. I sat down again. I'm going to let them destroy themselves. I'm just making sure they can't drag anyone else down with them. Joanna sighed, reaching for her coffee. What's your plan? First we document everything. Then we meet with them tomorrow, all of them. I'll offer to help, but with conditions they'll never accept. And then? Then we let karma do its job. I pulled out my phone, showing her Lyle's response to my message. With a little help from the press. Your ex-boyfriend, the reporter? Really? He's been investigating tech fraud. This story will make his career. Joanna rubbed her temples. You've thought of everything, haven't you? 12 years is a long time to plan. And what about after, when it's all over? I stood up, gathering my things. Then I'll finally be free. Or empty, she said quietly. I pretended not to hear her. Back at my office, Lexi was waiting with more revelations. I found the money trail from your college fund, she said, pulling up documents. Want to see where it really went? The numbers told a story I'd always suspected, not just Europe. Designer clothes, luxury hotels, first-class everything. My entire future converted into Jaden's Instagram highlights. There's more, Lexi continued. He's been using your parents' house as collateral for multiple loans. They don't just risk losing it. They might face criminal charges for loan fraud. Perfect. I smiled, but it felt hollow. Send everything to Joanna. And confirm tomorrow's meeting. Already done. Conference room A, 10 a.m. She hesitated. Are you sure about this? Why does everyone keep asking me that? Because revenge changes people, and I like who you are now. I looked around my office, at the awards, the patents, the evidence of everything I'd built from nothing. Sometimes change is necessary. My phone buzzed again. A text from Mom. Jaden's nervous about tomorrow. Please be gentle with him. Gentle. Like they were gentle when they took my future. Like they were gentle every Christmas when Jaden got everything while I got practical gifts. Like they were gentle when they told me to just figure it out on my own. I texted back, looking forward to seeing everyone. Then I called Lyle. I've got something for you, I said when he answered. But you'll need to wait until after tomorrow's meeting to run it. How big are we talking? Career-making big. Tech fraud. Fake companies. Millions missing. The works. He whistled. And you're sure about this? It's your brother. No, I corrected him. It's justice. After hanging up, I stood at my window, watching the city lights flicker on. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, karma would finally arrive. And I would be there to hold the door open. Conference room A felt like a courtroom. Floor-to-ceiling windows on one side, a massive screen on the other, and my family looking small and uncertain around the gleaming table. Jaden wore his best business meeting outfit, probably bought with someone else's money. Thanks for coming, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. Lexi will be joining us shortly with the financial analysis. Do we really need her here? Jaden asked, flashing his trademark smile. This is family business. Everything about this meeting is business. I opened my laptop. Let's start with your companies. How many are there currently? He shifted in his chair. 4 main entities, but they're all interconnected for tax purposes. Tax evasion purposes, you mean? Mum gasped. Addison! No, let's be accurate. I pulled up the first document on the screen. Quantum AI Solutions, founded 18 months ago, raised $12 million, claims to have revolutionary cryptocurrency trading algorithms. That's right, Jaden said quickly. We're in beta testing now. Interesting. I clicked to the next slide. Because according to state records, you have no employees, no office lease, no registered patents, no actual technology. The colour drained from his face. But you did have expenses. Another click. Like this $50,000 weekend in Vegas. Or this yacht rental in Miami. Those were business meetings, he protested. Networking events. With Instagram models? Dad cleared his throat. Addison, we came here for help, not accusations. You came here because you're desperate. I turned to face him. Did you know when you signed those loan documents that Jaden had already mortgaged the house 3 times? Mum's hand flew to her pearls. 3 times? Show them, Lexi. She entered silently, tablet in hand, and projected a complex web of transactions onto the screen. Mr. and Mrs. Stewart, your signatures appear on multiple loan applications, each using your house as collateral. The total borrowed amount is approximately $3.2 million. That's impossible, Dad whispered. We only signed once. Digital signatures are easy to copy, I said. Aren't they, Jaden? He stood up abruptly. This is bullshit. I came here for help, not to be attacked. Sit down. My voice could have frozen hell. We're just getting started. Addison, please, Mum pleaded. We can work this out. Like we worked out my college fund. I clicked to another document. Speaking of which, let's review where that money really went. The screen filled with credit card statements, hotel bills, first-class airline tickets, designer purchases. $120,000, I said quietly. That's what my future was worth to you. And here's how Jaden spent it. Images appeared. His old Instagram posts. Paris, Rome, Barcelona, each one tagged with "found blessed." That's ancient history, Jaden snapped. I was young. So was I, but only one of us had their dreams funded. Is that what this is about? He laughed bitterly. You're still bitter about college? No. I stood up slowly. This is about consequences, about karma, about justice. What are you talking about? I've already contacted the SEC. The words fell like bombs. And the FBI. And tomorrow, a very detailed expose about your fraudulent companies will hit the press. Mum started crying. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years. But Jaden launched himself across the table at me. Lexi moved faster than I'd ever seen her move, putting herself between us. Security appeared in the doorway. You bitch! Jaden shouted. You'll destroy everything. No, I corrected him. You destroyed everything. I'm just making sure you can't hide from it anymore. We're your family. Family? I laughed. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't create fake companies to scam investors. Please, Mum sobbed. We can fix this. Actually, we can't. I gathered my things. The SEC will be contacting you all directly. I suggest getting separate lawyers. And Dad, better start packing up the house. You're enjoying this, Jaden accused. I paused at the door. No, I'm not enjoying this at all. But someone once told me I was the responsible one. Time to prove them right. Security escorted them out. Through my office windows, I watched them huddle in the parking lot, gesturing wildly, falling apart. Lexi appeared at my side. Lyle's ready with the story. It goes live at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Good. I turned away from the window. Send everything to Joanna. She'll handle any legal fallout. Are you okay? I thought about that girl who cried over her lost college fund. About the woman I became because of it. About karma and justice and the thin line between them. I'm free, I said. And for the first time in 12 years, it felt true. The pounding on my door started at 5:58 a.m., 2 minutes before Lyle's story was set to break. I didn't need to check the security feed to know it was Jaden. Open the damn door, Addison. His voice echoed through the hallway. "We need to talk." I pressed the intercom. "Security has already been notified. Leave now." "You can't do this to me, to our parents." "I'm not doing anything. The SEC is." "I'll tell everyone about you," he threatened. "About the real you, how cold you are, how you've always been jealous." I opened the door. Jaden stumbled back, surprised by my calm appearance in a crisp business suit. "Jealous?" I smiled. "Of what? Your fake companies? Your stolen money? Your complete lack of consequences until now? You don't understand." "No, you don't understand." I stepped into the hallway. "Check your phone." The story just went live. He frantically pulled out his phone. I watched his face crumble as he read the headline. "Tech startup fraud. The $1 million house of cards." "This will destroy me," he whispered. "Like you destroyed my future." "That was different. I was finding myself." "And what did you find, Jaden? Besides other people's money?" His phone started buzzing. "Investors, probably. Or lawyers. Or both." "Mum and Dad will lose everything," he tried one last time. "They lost me years ago. They just didn't notice." Security arrived then, 2 officers I knew well. "Miss Stewart, everything okay?" "Please escort my brother out and update his photo on the banned list." "You can't," Jaden started. "I can." I did. "Goodbye, Jaden." Back in my apartment, I watched the story spread. Lyle had done an excellent job. Detailed, damning, impossible to deny. My phone lit up with a text from Joanna. "It's hitting all the major outlets. You okay?" Before I could respond, Mom called. Then Dad. Then Mom again. Finally, I answered. "How could you?" Mom's voice broke. "He's your brother." "Funny. Where was that family loyalty when it was my future on the line?" "That was different. We were trying to help him." "And I'm trying to help you," I said calmly, "by stopping him before he drags you into federal prison." "We signed those papers willingly." "No, you signed one paper willingly. He forged your signatures on the others. Check the dates. You were in Florida for half of them." Silence. "My God," she whispered. "The FBI will be contacting you today. Tell them everything. It's your only chance to avoid charges." "What about Jaden?" "What about me?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. "Did you ever ask that? Did you ever wonder how I managed college? Or my first apartment? Or starting my company?" "Addison, I lived on ramen noodles for 2 years. I worked 3 jobs. I slept on a yoga mat because I couldn't afford a bed." "Where were your maternal concerns then?" "We thought you could handle it," she said softly. "You were always so strong." "I had to be. You didn't give me a choice." My other line beeped. Joanna. "Mum, I have to go. Remember what I said about the FBI." "Wait!" Her voice cracked. "What you said yesterday about the college fund, about how Jaden spent it, was that true? Check his Instagram history, it's all there. Every penny of my future, documented in perfect filtered detail." I hung up and took Joanna's call. "The SEC just froze all of Jaden's accounts," she reported. "And your parents too, since they're connected." "Good. The house will go into foreclosure by the end of the week. They can stay with Aunt Sarah in Wisconsin." "Addison," Joanna paused. "Are you sure this is what you wanted?" I walked to my window, looking out at the city I'd conquered through sheer determination. What I wanted was to go to college without working myself half to death. What I wanted was parents who cared about my dreams as much as Jaden's. What I wanted was a family that didn't treat me like an ATM with unlimited withdrawals. And now I want justice. And for the first time in my life, I have the power to get it. My phone buzzed with another text. Lexi. "Your brother's trying to book a flight to Mexico," I smiled. "Not with frozen accounts, he's not." "The reporters are starting to call," Joanna said. "What should I tell them?" "Tell them." I thought of that Instagram photo on the Spanish steps, of all the sacrifices that paid for it. Tell them karma doesn't have a statute of limitations. Sometimes the best revenge isn't serving justice. It's watching justice serve itself. The news van started arriving at my parents' house around noon. I watched the live coverage from my office. Sound muted. As reporters crowded their perfectly manicured lawn, the same lawn I'd mowed every weekend to earn pocket money while Jaden lounged by the pool. FBI just released their statement, Lexi announced, entering with her tablet. Want to hear it? I nodded. The Bureau is investigating allegations of widespread securities fraud involving multiple technology startups. We are working closely with the SEC and... My phone buzzed. Lyle. Your brother just called me, he said when I answered. Offered to tell me the real story in exchange for killing the article. What did you say? I told him the real story was already out. Then I recorded the call and sent it to the FBI. I smiled. Always the thorough reporter. He's desperate, Addison. Said some pretty ugly things about you. Let me guess. I'm jealous, bitter, cold-hearted. Among other things. You okay? Before I could answer, Joanna burst into my office. Turn on Channel 4, now. Lexi grabbed the remote. Jaden's face filled the screen, standing outside his luxury apartment building. My sister's vindictive attempt to destroy our family, he was saying. She's always been jealous of my success. Your success? I unmuted the TV. Show them your bank statements, Jaden. Show them where the money really came from. As if hearing me, a reporter shouted, Is it true you used investor funds for personal expenses? Those were legitimate business expenses. Like the yacht in Miami? Another reporter. The gambling in Vegas? No comment. Jaden retreated toward the building entrance. Talk to my lawyer. Does he have a lawyer? Lexi asked. Not yet, Joanna answered. But he'll need one. The FBI is on their way to his apartment now. My phone buzzed again. Dad! The police are here, he said without preamble. With papers? Let them serve them. And tell them everything. Your mother's hysterical. She'll survive, she always does. Addison, his voice cracked. I'm sorry about college, about everything. 12 years too late, Dad. I know. We thought we were doing the right thing. Jaden was so fragile. And I wasn't? Or did you just not care? Silence. The FBI will want to know about the loan documents, I continued. Tell them Jaden forged your signatures. It's your only defence. He's our son. And I'm your daughter. Remember that while you're packing up the house? I hung up as Lexi pointed to the TV. They were showing my company's building now, reporters clustered outside. Want me to make a statement? She asked. No. Let them speculate. Addison, Joanna sat across from me. The DA's office called. They're offering Jaden a deal if he cooperates. He won't take it. His ego won't let him. Your parents might lose everything. They already did. They just didn't know it until now. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. A photo. I opened it and froze. It was me, age 18, in my janitor's uniform, cleaning classrooms at 4 a.m. Someone had taken it without my knowledge. Another text followed. Remember this? I do. I saw you every morning while heading home from parties. Never said anything. Never helped. Some brother I was. I stared at the photo, memories flooding back. The exhaustion, the humiliation, the burning determination to succeed despite them all. What is it? Lexi asked, noting my expression. I showed her the photo. Jaden's last attempt at manipulation. Is it working? No. I deleted the texts. It's just confirming I did the right thing. The TV showed breaking news. FBI agents escorting Jaden from his building in handcuffs. Mum and Dad being served with papers on their front lawn. The empire of lies crumbling in real time. Ms. Stewart? My assistant's voice came through the intercom. The New York Times is on line 1. They want a statement. I looked at Joanna. She nodded. Put them through. Ms. Stewart, about your brother's allegations. My brother stole millions from investors while pretending to run legitimate businesses. The evidence speaks for itself. And the personal aspects, the college fund. I thought about that photo. About the girl in the janitor's uniform who refused to break. Sometimes, I said carefully, the biggest fraud isn't what shows up in bank statements. It's what families tell themselves to justify their choices. After hanging up, I stood at my window, watching the reporters below. What now? Lexi asked. Now? I smiled. Now we watch Karma finish what it started. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Jaden looked smaller too, in his prison-issued jumpsuit instead of his usual designer suits. He wouldn't look at me as he entered his guilty plea. The defendant agrees to forfeit all assets gained through fraudulent activities, the prosecutor announced. and will serve a minimum of 5 years in federal prison. Mum sobbed quietly in the back row. Dad stared straight ahead, face blank. I sat between Joanna and Lexi, expression neutral, watching justice unfold. The judge turned to Jaden. Do you have anything to say before sentencing? He stood slowly. I'm sorry. To the investors, to my parents. He paused. To my sister. Save it, I muttered under my breath. Lexi squeezed my hand. After the sentencing, Mum tried to catch me in the hallway. Addison, please. We're moving to Wisconsin next week. Can't we talk? About what? How you're living with Aunt Sarah because you lost your house? Or how you enabled Jaden until he destroyed himself? About making peace, she pleaded. About family. Family? I laughed. You know what I did last week? I established a scholarship fund for students who lost their college funds to family betrayal. That's my new definition of family. Dad approached, looking aged beyond his years. The scholarship, what did you name it? The Justice Fund. I straightened my blazer. Because sometimes karma needs a little help. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited with cameras and microphones. Joanna stepped forward as my spokesperson. My client has no comment on today's proceedings. However, she is announcing a $1 million endowment to help disadvantaged students pursue higher education. Mr. Stewart, a reporter called out. What about your parents' house? I stopped, turned. What about my future? The one they stole? Sometimes karma comes full circle. Back at my office, Lexi had arranged everything I needed for the scholarship fund launch. The first applications are already coming in, she said, showing me her tablet. Students with stories just like yours. Schedule interviews with the top candidates, I told her. I want to meet them personally. There's something else. She hesitated. Your mother left this at reception. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a photo I'd never seen before. Me at my high school graduation, standing alone while the family clustered around Jaden in his new convertible. A note fell out. I see it now. I see everything we did wrong. I'm sorry we were blind for so long. Throw it away, I said. Are you sure? Before I could answer, Joanna rushed in. You need to see this. She pulled up a video on her phone. Jaden, being interviewed just before his sentencing. My sister wasn't wrong, he was saying, about any of it. I stole her future. And then I kept stealing from everyone else. I thought I was entitled to success without work. She proved me wrong. Delete it, I said. Addison. Joanna sat down. At some point, you have to let this go. Let it go? Like they let go of my dreams, my chances. No, like someone who's won, who's proven everyone wrong, who's built something meaningful from their pain. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. The scholarship fund. It's what you deserved back then. I'm proud of who you became, despite us. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. The first scholarship interviews are next week, Lexi reminded me gently. Want to review their stories? I nodded, grateful for the distraction. She pulled up the files. Dozens of young people with dreams bigger than their circumstances. Dreams like mine had been. This one. I pointed to a file. Single mom, working nights, straight A's. Just like you, Lexi said softly. Schedule her first. After they left, I stood at my window, watching the city lights come on. My phone buzzed again. Lyle. Follow-up stories running tomorrow, he said. About the scholarship fund. Want to comment? I thought about that graduation photo. About the girl who stood alone. About karma and justice and the thin line between vengeance and healing. Tell them. I paused. Tell them sometimes the best revenge is making sure no one else experiences your pain. That's not very vengeful, he noted. No, I agreed. It's better. I hung up and looked at the scholarship applications again. At all those dreams waiting to be funded. At all those futures waiting to be saved. Maybe Joanna was right. Maybe this was what winning really looked like. Not destroying your enemies, but building something they can't touch. Something that turns pain into purpose. Something that finally sets you free. The auditorium buzzed with nervous energy as I took the podium. 50 students sat before me, each clutching their scholarship acceptance letters from the Justice Fund. Behind them, proud parents dabbed tears and recorded videos. Welcome, I began, scanning the faces. You're here because someone told you your dreams weren't worth investing in. They were wrong. In the back, Lexi gave me a thumbs up. Joanna smiled encouragingly. My story started with a stolen college fund, I continued, with nights cleaning classrooms and days fighting sleep in lectures, with ramen noodles and yoga mat beds and the burning desire to prove everyone wrong. Movement at the entrance caught my eye. Mum and Dad slipped in, standing uncertainly by the door. I hadn't invited them. But this isn't about revenge, I said, gripping the podium tighter. It's about justice, about making sure no one else has to choose between their dreams and their dignity. The first scholarship recipient, Maria, sat in the front row. Single mum, straight A's, working nights just like I had. Her young daughter coloured quietly beside her. Today, you're not just receiving money for college, you're receiving belief, investment. The thing I had to fight for, we're giving freely, because talent shouldn't have to beg for a chance to shine. A hand rose. One of the students. Miss Taylor-Stewart, is it true this fund came from your brother's restitution money? Yes. I met Mum's eyes across the room. Sometimes karma works in poetic ways. After the ceremony, Maria approached with her daughter. Thank you, she whispered, hugging me. This changes everything. No, I corrected her. You changed everything. We're just removing the obstacles. As the crowd thinned, Mum and Dad made their way forward. Dad looked older in his Wisconsin casual clothes, Mum more subdued without her pearls. That was quite a speech, Dad said. Why are you here? We saw the announcement in the paper, Mum explained. About the scholarship ceremony. We needed to see. See what? What real success looks like, Dad said quietly. Not Jaden's fake companies or borrowed glory, but this, building something that helps others. Bit late for that revelation. We know, Mum twisted her hands. But watching you up there, I finally understood. You didn't just succeed despite us. You succeeded to spite us, and somehow turned that spite into something beautiful. Lexi appeared at my elbow. Sorry to interrupt, but the Times reporter is waiting for your interview. Give me a minute. My parents turned to leave, but I called out, Wait! They froze. The next round of scholarships? I took a deep breath. We're focusing on students from Wisconsin. Since that's your new home, maybe you could help review applications. Mum's eyes filled with tears. Really? Don't make me regret this. We won't, Dad said firmly. Not again. After they left, Joanna joined me. That was unexpected. They're not forgiven, I clarified. But maybe they can help prevent other parents from making their mistakes. Speaking of prevention, she handed me her phone. An email from Jaden's prison account. Sis, watching the scholarship ceremony live stream from my cell. Finally understand what you built while I was pretending to build things. Maybe when I get out, I can help. Not with money or decisions, I've lost that right, but maybe with warning entitled kids about where that path leads. Proud of you. Jay. Delete it? Joanna asked. I stared at the screen, at the small olive branch extended from behind bars. No, I decided. Save it. Maybe karma isn't just about punishment. Maybe it's about transformation too. The Times reporter approached, notebook ready. Mr. Stewart, about the scholarship fund's future. The future? I looked around the auditorium, at Maria and her daughter, at the students clutching their acceptance letters, at the dreams finally being funded. The future is already here, I said, in every student who refuses to let someone else define their worth, in every dream that survives betrayal, in every story that turns pain into purpose. And your family? I thought about Mom and Dad reviewing applications in Wisconsin, about Jaden watching the live stream in his cell, about Karma's long, strange journey. Family isn't just blood, I answered. Sometimes it's the people who believe in you when your blood doesn't. Sometimes it's the dreams you build from the ashes of the ones they burned. And revenge, I smiled, thinking of that girl in the janitor's uniform, of how far she'd come, of how her pain had transformed into purpose. The best revenge isn't destruction, I said finally. It's creation, building something so beautiful that even those who hurt you have to admit you are worth investing in all along. That's the thing about karma. Sometimes it doesn't just balance the scales. Sometimes it builds new ones.